Man, I just want to get something straight across. If you didn't know the group home, I said something that was like, I hate everything about you. And what I saw was a dead Pastor Jones, and Chris mentioned FBF multiple times. When we all know that I love my church at Alpha Omega. You have to understand, of the situations, once you start fucking me up when dead, was when we were in a sophomore year situation, meaning I'm paying your rent. And what I mean by that is you're doing this shit with Sunny. What I was doing was I was dancing with girls. I was dancing the exact same way that I was in high school, letting her pay my rent. But hey, I played off having the biggest hit on the radio, knowing things intuitively in and out. And what ends up happening is that people have these false opinions. What happened was literally I just got hell. I just became He-Man Hellboy. I just got fucked up by a diaper. What happened was my uncle had an argument this morning, and it was about me cleaning the bathroom. What he did was he told me to go to extra areas when I didn't know I shouldn't have, because they're on the floor, right next to the ridges. So what I do, what I said over time, literally, is that I said, how much I spread about the Vario and say that it's the best level. I ended up being a person that can never beat the Vario, but it was for a childish reason. What it was is they were supporting, humans for only, disabled women, literally, in able-bodied, fat Indian people to play video games like nerds. To keep people sheltered in order for harassment. What happened, later on that day was I tried swimming the steps, and there was a doll. What happened was I was too grown to fall for Virgin Mary. What that is that's when people try to connect, to gravitating God and say you are a chosen one. What happens in life is life told you flat out that you're not special. What happens literally is I'm struggling, doing the grocery store. I start, picking up the lighter items, and I start winning over time because of the fact is I do triple martial arts, and you still want me to go in. Some want me to think, and instead of being a martial arts position, what mental health does is they irritate me. They're begging for me to go out with an older woman, Lily, and a girl who's ugly in order to keep her psychology going. I'm like, man, you need to understand all the work I did for their community, that maybe Lily God would support something beautiful this time instead of the ugly thing, in order to install that Lily, you're abusing your own position because your Kool-Aid got exposed to a certain extent. I need you to respect his. In the game, because he got surprised because Lily, I got the toilet paper roll, Lily, in the bathroom by time. That's what I did was I played off the roll, Lily being on a super shit. Lily did not do that way, threw that whole bag away after, I cleaned my room. Lily, what ends up happening, Lily, is that we still have a high school moment, and what happens is I end up looking at them like Ja Rule, like the guy from Legend from the Dragon, because what happens is I leave my pizza box, but it's right before the Iowa Rural bag of, the food. So what happens is, my count is lost because, there are 2 slices left. So what I do is I go back. Literally, I grabbed the box because it's literally right there, because I was reading a book. I was reading the New York Times about how many people died in 2025. And what ends up happening, externally, is I get home, literally, I start playing shit, I start destroying shit. And I told them, like, no, let me tell you something. Literally, there was a guy named Reese, literally, who was there perfect square. And I did, all the things that Fred Gibson, the guy I was facing with from West Side Story, literally, all the way to a point, like, no, how he left off was a Reese, literally, in a perfect square after I literally left a paper towel, literally, it looked like a fucking 2-year-old downstairs after I tried sweeping. So what happens is I put, the shoes in alphabetical order, but some have to be on top of each other. Literally, that I reference my shoes. You see, I have over $35 shoes. Literally, how I always keep them kept in a drawer. Literally, so what I do is I wait for them to say, because they're Polish, right? I wait for them to say, literally, the shoes are on top of each other, but they don't say anything. So what ends up happening, I'm like, okay, well, don't count the game before, because what happened with me and my uncle both had to do our clothes is I had to double check. That's the thing you forgot. I double checked, literally, and some of their parts were still wet. So it ended up, waiting an hour after I double checked, literally, he was just trying to do his load too. What that was connected to was being able to live like a teenager as an adult. Being criticized with further knowledge knows that that's harder to do, because it's obviously a different formula but lands on the same thing. Unfortunately, but forgetting something, during the midnight days, it was both Omar and Isaiah. Afterwards, people were bugging me saying, mood tricks this, mood tricks that. Literally, I'm like, oh my god, black hair is worse. I mean, just think about it. Literally, Mr. Pledger saw me draw in high school. Literally, I did everything, including fake Boomer Red Dodger. Sure, there's a draw, drew in the back of his head like Shikamaru. I'm trying to say externally these videos about what you do, literally, up and down, go around. Literally, this is still a sophomore year situation. Stand by for narcosology on deck. Prominent while I started dancing with girls in the street. Really prominent, and that's then and there when I put in the same situation. So the moral of this video is that even though you're trapped in the one-tone society, what do I have to counter the one-tone society? I have boxing, literally, I have intuition, gained XYZ over time. Understand something. I've covered something, this year as Lord Sun. When it comes to overall state, sometimes they attack me in a video game like how they did this morning. But, what gives you perspective, what you have to have as a human being, not a dead robot, is that in close statement when it was most important, I did dispatch, your gameplay illegitimately. very illegitimately. When it came to Courtney, I couldn't believe, the verse about the whole time. Literally, I brought Courtney along, I snuck in on my friends through multiverse theory. Literally, you saw it. God damn, I can't stand that fucking samurai. The answer, yes, see, Lily, I used Sunny, I still lost, and it was bullshit. The studio Lily wore fucking qualifying that shit like, yo, you shouldn't have listened to the second round.